everybody.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. I know we have some students on the sides. You know, we can't have anybody standing on the sides of the aisleways there, so if I can get you to find a chair. There looks like there's some empty chairs in here.
We want our students here.
Yeah, or maybe some of the parents would like to move into the overflow room and allow the students to stay in here.
And then when they go,
But we just can't have you on the sides of the hallways there. And if you have a presentation going on, we'll make sure that we give you time to get here before your presentation happens.
I thought they were babies. They were for kids. I thought they had a center for the kids.
we do have something. There's a room for our kids to go, but these are the kids that might be recognized.
But not these real little ones. You know.
I don't know.
Thank you, everybody in the packed house, and welcome back from the little break that we had. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for bearing with me. Last time I was in here and I had burned hands and burned hair and burned face and everything, and I appreciate the fact that everybody understood why I was wearing a head wrap. Not out of any disrespect to anybody in here. It was just an accident that I had. So, but now I'm better, and we're back. So with that, let's get started. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Can we please all stand for a pledge allegiance? And then after that, we're going to have a moment of silence for a longtime school employee, Adams 14 district employee, Maria Zepeda. She passed away. She was a longtime employee here. So we'll have a moment of silence after the pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Archuleta?
Here.
Dr. Hyde?
Here.
Mrs. Quintana? Here. Mr. Rolla?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
I need a motion to approve the minutes for March the 13th of 2018.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
I need a motion to amend the agenda, first of all, this evening, to add a board recommendation, approval of addendum number 1 to superintendent contract under board action, item number 5.1.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I have roll call on that amendment?
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Now I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
So now we'll move into recognitions and celebrations. We have these first, so that way if the kids get done with everything they need to do and would like to leave the board meeting, we try to let them leave before we start getting into regular business. So that's why we get to do these first, and these are the most exciting part for me. So
We do have 3 recognitions and celebrations. Our first one, we have Adams City High School, the Student Council. Is there a representative here from our Student Council?
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Abrego. So today I came to you guys to present about a pretty awesome and successful event that Student Council at Adams City High School just recently hosted. We hosted the first ever Wish Week for the Make-A-Wish Colorado Foundation. This was as a result of our seniors going to the CHASA Leadership Conference in Colorado. Where was it? Grand Junction. So they chose one event to host after attending the leadership conference. This was the event. They did Wish Week. They opened it up to everyone in the district. So our students really wanted to make this a cohesive effort between all of Adams 14 rather than just raise money as a school. So as you can see, we were assigned the profile of a little boy named Wade who's 4 years old. His wish is to go to Disney World, and he battles with cancer every day. So we had a week full of events that were inspired by his interests. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we ended up raising a total of over $10,000 as a district. So it was really awesome to see everyone come together and decide to give back to a cause that is just so great and so relatable. So I really wanted to recognize all of the schools and a couple, hopefully, of the individuals who went above and beyond, because we had 7 schools altogether who did that. So go ahead to the next slide. So first we had Adams City Middle School, if you guys can come up and stand. So they raised a total of $488.63. So they did a hat drive, a spirit week. They collected monetary donations. They did T-shirt sales. They sold spaghetti dinner tickets. And then we had this really awesome ACMS versus KMS teacher volleyball game. That was a great success. Go ahead to the next one, please. We also had Lester Arnold, who raised $500, if there's anyone here from Lester. So they sold T-shirts, collected money, and helped to sell spaghetti dinner tickets and did their own Spirit Week as well. The next school is Dupont Elementary. They raised $534.86. They're here. Yeah, come on up. So they researched, planned, advertised, and created handmade items for a school-wide artisan market and sold all of their items, and all of their profits totaled $534. Then we had Kemp Elementary that raised almost $900. Okay. So they raised all of that money just through a coin drive. And I wanted to recognize one individual student who's not here today, but he individually raised $244 on his own by selling chocolate lollipops that he made with his grandma, which is just incredible. So he has his own certificate, but some of these kids really just got very attached to the cause. So good job, Kemp. Yeah. So Rose Hill, if you guys could come on up, wherever you guys are, awesome. So they raised, $1,232, and this is just through a penny drive. Yeah, they almost broke our coin machine in a good way, so it was great. Good job to you guys. Go ahead to that next one. And last, Kearney Middle School raised $2,140. And I know they had individual students who raised $400. Are these any of them? Okay. One student individually raised $400. Another student individually raised $100 gave $100 of their own money. And our schools really just went above and beyond for kids like Wade who suffer from life-threatening illnesses, which was awesome to see. And lastly, Adams City High School raised $4,250. So these are just 4 of the 11 girls who helped to facilitate all of this. They did an incredible job and hoping to leave a legacy of Wish Week with the district. So, this for you guys. And so then I have one for the district as well that just says as a whole we raised over $10,000. So, good job, everyone.
So let's go down and shake hands, and then we'll stand up back here and we'll take a picture with everybody. Thank you all for what you did. I'm sure that it's a gesture that goes a long ways toward goodwill. Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work.
Anytime.
All those are certificates.
On one of my orders, I said I was going to do it on Kent's doing one, he's doing the other. What's this?
Oh, this is,
So in order
entry principle.
in order to get a picture of everyone, if we can have all the students and staff members in front here nice and close to each other, please, as close as you can get.
In front of us, so we can hide our belly.
And then we'll have the board members on the dais behind them.
How about like this? Because I'm sure I haven't seen her.
This is nice. I like when we do things.
It's taller than me.
Did you already take the picture? No, they haven't. Get behind the chairs.
What's going on?
Uh-oh.
Okay, if everyone can look right here, I will take 2 pictures. Here's the first one. Ready, 1, 2, 3, and one more picture. Looking right here, please. Ready, set. Let's give them a hand.
Would any of you guys like to say anything about what you did?
Hi, I'm Christine McGowan from
Thank you,
Rose
Miss
Hill
Lamont.
Elementary
Thank
School.
you so
Tyler, wait.
Excuse me. Thank you for your hard work.
Good job.
I'll go turn it up in Make sure nobody trips on this and that nothing falls on this baby. So come around this side. Come around this side.
You could come use this one. You could come use this one.
I've got metal. It's my metal magnetism. I'm Christine McGowan from Rose Hill Elementary School. We want to thank all of the high school students and student council personally, that without them, we probably wouldn't have been involved. And it took us 4 days to raise this money, and we are very proud of all of our students and all of our effort that we put forward. And thank you all so much for having us.
Hi, my name is Tina Green. I'm the parent volunteer for Adams City Middle School's Student Council and No Place for Hate. And it was an amazing week. I am so proud of all the kiddos in Student Council. We've got an amazing group of kids who got together, organized what we did, and executed it amazingly. So thank you, high school, for giving us a chance to do something so special. This was important to my family because I have a cousin who was part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation who battled childhood leukemia. So thank you again.
Thank you all once again.
We do have 2 more recognitions. Our second
Maybe wait till they leave.
It's back and fix it.
I'm okay. Yes, we do have 2 more recognitions. Our second recognition will be representatives from Rose Hill Elementary.
Good evening. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Dr. Obrego, for being here. My name is Bonnie Martinez, and I'm the principal at Rose Hill Elementary. As parents, we want the best for our children. We want the best education and learning environment. We also want our children to be safe and secure at school. Every day we send our children to school trusting that they will come home safely. With everything happening in today's world, that is not always a guarantee. However, I want you to know at Rose Hill Elementary, one of our students coming home safe and secure is due to one of our teachers. Her quick, decisive decision-making saved a student's life. A student was choking on a bottle cap and suddenly the airway was blocked. Our teacher immediately went over to the student and performed the Heimlich on the student, and after a few attempts, the cap flew out. This teacher was recognized on the news, and I'm just going to read you a quick clip from the news. Teacher saves student's life in class. As a young teacher, she has a lot to learn to lead her 5th grade class at Rose Hill Elementary. A 5th grade student came back from lunch with the purchased disposable water bottle with the typical plastic bottle cap. He put the cap in his mouth and he drank some water and he started choking. He says what happened next, he just froze. The bottle cap fell in my throat, he said. I tried breathing through my nose, but I was scared. That's when Miss Sterling, says Brian, came and called for help for his friend. I walked over to the student and he was on his hands and knees, Miss Sterling said. I was really calm, and it was just instinct, and I just started doing the Heimlich, and I guess it was just surprise when the bottle cap popped out because I was expecting that all along. The student was relieved. Miss Sterling spends her days teaching kids about conflict and real-world solutions. So she turned this traumatic experience into a learning experience, one for her entire class. Miss Sterling learned as a young teacher, you never know when your students might need you the most. So this evening, please help me in welcoming and recognizing Rose Hill's hero, Brianna Sterling.
We're gonna take a picture of you. Yeah, sorry.
So we're gonna take a picture with you too.
So we don't need to move it, or just a
Yeah, the
little bit?
board's going to come down and greet her first.
Okay.
Let's go the other way. Go this way. to take 2 pictures?
Okay, 1, 2, and 3.
And one more, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
And we do have one more. Our third recognition is from Alsop Elementary. I believe their principal, Mr. Abdale, is here. There he is.
Good evening, President Archuleta, distinguished members of the board, and Dr. Abrego. My name is Mike Abdel. I'm the principal at Alsop Elementary, and this is Court Ambrosino. He's a 5th grade teacher at Alsop Elementary. I'm here tonight to recognize the 2018 Battle of the Books District winner, Team Banana from Alsop Elementary. Congratulations. Team Banana competed against 12 other teams during this year's Battle of the Books competition. The schools that participated were Kemp, Central, and Alsop. The main purpose of Battle of the Books is to motivate students to read for fun and learning. Students also learned about good sportsmanship, how to work as a team, and how to support each other. Each student was required to read several books. The students were then asked a series of comprehension questions. Students were scored on their ability to recall the correct information and which book the information was from. Team Banana participated in the Alsop team finals at the school and were selected to be one of 2 Alsop teams in the district finals. On finals night, the Alsop team defeated Kemp in the final round. It was a great competition that went into overtime. All students did a great job. We are very proud of all teams who participated and are proud that the Alsop team gets to represent our district as the 2018 champions. A very special thank you to all the teachers from Alsop, Mr. Ambrosino, especially for the work that he did, who supported the students in preparing for the competition, and a very special thank you to all the Kemp and Central students, teachers who participated. I also want to recognize Tammy Wright from Kemp, who did an awful lot of work to put this together. Great readers in Adams. Oh, go ahead, Tammy. She deserves it. Great readers in Adams 14 are doing great things. Congratulations to Team Banana. Team Banana is here tonight. If these students could please come up to be recognized. Benjamin Ramirez. Matthew Petco. Bernice Torsius. And Nicole Landa.
So we're going to take a picture with you guys and congratulate you. You want to have your family members and whoever else is with you come up?
Do they have their parents?
I know we have several family members here. Come up and have your picture taken with your child.
Go down and congratulate him first.
Oh, I'm tired.
What I miss?
You came up about what? How much we use and how much privileged information that the community here is talked about. And then they talked about SUPS evaluations. So it sounds like they're gonna want that and put them on next steps. But do you want the 3 option? No, he said it's complete.
This will work if everybody moves a little bit towards the center.
So here's
Don't be
this.
shy, move until you're touching the person next to you, please.
I don't know if it may come up in there tonight or.
All right, but these are what I'm saying. Pictures, here's the first one. 1, 2, 3. And after the second one, how about a round of applause?
He said he had it, he'd have to look.
Okay.
But that's where they landed the last time.
I know I have it somewhere. Take care.
Hey.
Now I know what number 2 is.
Hey.
Bye.
Superintendent's evaluation, make it 3.
Check. 1, 2.
I just didn't know.
Hey, Timmy.
That moves us into audience comments. Can I have Sylvia Hernandez come up, please? She might be in the over. Oh, she's here. Okay.
No, es Ángeles está en el otro. Va a venir alguien que me interprete, pero está en el otro cuarto.
Listo. Okay. Is this her?
Voy a.
Oh, okay.
Oh, ahí viene.
We have an interpreter. We have our own interpreter.
Oh, I think he is. He was back there with.
Hello, this is a bilingual message.
Buenas noches, miembros de la Junta de Educación, presidente Archuleta y miembros de la comunidad. Mi nombre es Silvia Hernández. El 15 de febrero, en el foro del superintendente, usted nos presentó información sobre la educación bilingüe. Señora Abrego, en esta reunión trató de explicarnos los diferentes programas bilingües que ofrece el distrito: educación bilingüe de transición, educación bilingüe de 1 a 2 vías. Pero nunca mencionó la biliteracidad como una opción para que los padres elijan. Además, yo salí muy confundida de esa reunión. No me quedó claro lo que significa para el distrito, o más bien lo que significa para las familias elegir uno u otro programa. De hecho, para mí la explicación fue más confusa que útil. Además, a partir de esa reunión, tuve la impresión de que su objetivo final sería tener un programa bilingüe de transición y no biliteracidad para nuestros niños. El viernes, mientras navegaba en Facebook, me encontré con una carta de usted en la que dice que le pondrá una pausa al programa de biliteracidad porque cree que el programa está bien establecido hasta el 3er grado. Este tipo de programa, señora Abrego, de tener clases bilingües hasta el 3er año, se llama de transición. Y su propósito es ayudar a los estudiantes aprendices del idioma inglés. Usted y su administración no están escuchando lo que nosotros, las familias, queremos. Nuestros niños son bilingües emergentes, no aprendices del inglés. Usted y su administración están ignorando nuestra petición de extender el programa de biliteracidad hasta el 5º año. No me malinterprete, entendemos su posición. Usted quiere sacar al distrito del llamado reloj de responsabilidad, pero ¿a qué precio, señor Abrego? Por ese motivo, un grupo de padres preocupados decidimos encuestar a las familias. Les preguntamos, entre otros temas, si tienen hijos en el programa bilingüe. El 81% de las personas encuestadas tienen hijos en el programa. Preguntamos si la escuela y realmente el distrito había compartido información sobre el programa bilingüe. El 58% de las personas que encuestamos fueron que no habían recibido información en absoluto sobre el programa bilingüe. El 32% dijeron que habían recibido información. Del 32% que recibieron información, preguntamos qué tipo de información habían recibido. El 85% de las personas se les dijo que el programa bilingüe continuaría en 4º año. Por último, también preguntamos si tenían una idea clara de lo que sucederá con el programa de biliteracidad y si quieren que el programa continúe. Esto es especialmente relevante debido a que de las demás personas que encuestamos, la abrumadora mayoría dijo que sí a mantener el programa de biliteracidad en el distrito hasta el 5º año. Con esta información y lo que usted, señor Abrego, ha declarado en el pasado, cuestionamos su transparencia y voluntad de trabajar junto con las familias del distrito. El viernes nos enteramos de su decisión de pausar el programa bilingüe en 3er año cuando había dicho que continuará. ¿Dónde está su integridad, señor Abrego? ¿Y cómo refleja esto su disposición a trabajar junto con las familias cuando usted toma la decisión sin consultar con absolutamente nadie, especialmente nosotros, las familias de los niños que usted quiere ayudar? Gracias.
Thank you.
Could you please restart the PowerPoint, Monica? Thank you. Good evening, Board of Education, President Archuleta, and community members. My name is Sylvia Hernandez, and I'm a mother of 3 students in the Adams 14 School District. Mr. Abrego, on February 15 at the Superintendent Forum, you presented us with information regarding bilingual education. In that meeting, you tried to explain to us the different programs that the district offers. Transitional bilingual education, 1 or 2-way bilingual education, but you never mentioned biliteracy as an option for parents to choose from. Also from that meeting, I did not leave the feeling like I was clear on what it means for the district or for parents to pick from one or another program. In fact, to me, the explanation was more confusing than useful. Also, from that meeting, I got the impression that your ultimate goal would be to have transitional bilingual program, not biliteracy education for our children. On Friday, I was browsing Facebook. I came across a letter from you in which you stated that you will pause biliteracy education because you think the program is solidly implemented through 3rd grade. This sort of program, Mr. Abrego, is called a transitional program, and its purpose is to teach English language learners. You and your administration are not listening to us, families. Our children are emerging bilinguals, not English learners. You and your administration are ignoring our plea to extend the biliteracy program through 5th grade. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Abrego, we understand your position. You want to take the district off the accountability clock, but at what cost, Mr. Abrego? For that reason, a group of concerned parents decided to carry out a survey of families. We asked them, among other topics, if they had children in the bilingual program. 81% of the people we interviewed have children in the bilingual program. We also asked whether the school, and really the district, had shared information about the bilingual program. 58% of the people we interviewed said they had not received information at all about the bilingual program. 32% said they had received information. So we asked the 32% what kind of information they had received. 85% of them told us that the information they received said that the bilingual program would continue in 4th grade. Lastly, we also asked if they had a clear picture of what it will happen to the biliteracy program and if they wanted the program to continue. This is particularly relevant because of the people we surveyed. The overwhelming majority said yes to keeping the biliteracy program through the 5th grade. With this information and what you, Mr. Abrego, have stated in the past, we question your transparency and willingness to work together with the families in this district. On Friday, when we learned of your decision to pause the bilingual program in the 3rd grade, when you had previously stated that you would continue it, where is your integrity, Mr. Abrego? And how is this reflective of your willingness to work together with families when your decision-making is isolated from everyone, especially us, families? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sandra Bultovolosky, did I say that close?
Good evening, President Archuleta, members of the Adams 14 Board of Education, parents, students, and community. My name is Sandra Butfolosky, and I work at the Bueno Center at CU Boulder. I am the principal investigator of the Literacy Squared Biliteracy Project in Adams 14. I've been working here with teachers and administrators since 2015. The superintendent has stated that the continuation of the biliteracy program into the 4th and 5th grades would be based on data. Thus, I come again this evening to present district data demonstrating that students in the biliteracy classrooms are performing as well as or better than their English peers in English-only classrooms. While the Dibbles reading assessment has not been validated on children learning English as an additional language, the superintendent and the chief academic officer selected this assessment to determine whether students were progressing in their reading development. I compared Dibbles results from the beginning of the year and middle of the year for 2nd and 3rd grade students classified as limited English proficient or with a LEP designation in Literacy Squared classrooms to LEP students in English-only classrooms at the 4 research schools and found that at the beginning of the year, 55% of the 2nd grade students in biliteracy classrooms were at benchmark or above compared to 52% of students in English-only classrooms. At the middle of the year, 62% of the biliteracy students were at those levels compared to only 47% of students in English-only classes. We saw similar results for 3rd grade. At the beginning of the year, 42% of the biliteracy students were at or above benchmark, with only 29% in the English-only group. At the middle of the year, 29% of biliteracy students were at or above benchmark compared to 20% of students in the English-only classes. These results demonstrate that not only are biliteracy students performing better in this measure of English reading than their peers in English-only classrooms, but they are also developing Spanish literacy. Being in an English-only classroom does not mean students are learning English faster. I urge the board to consider such results before determining to discontinue biliteracy in the 4th and 5th grades. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Susan Hopewell.
Good evening, President Archuleta, members of the Adams 14 Board of Education, parents, students, community members. My name is Susan Hopewell. I'm a professor at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and I'm a director on the Literacy Squared project. The Bueno Center, with the help of the Teachers Union, sent a survey to Adams 14 teachers asking questions related to the biliteracy program in the district. As of April 9th, 180 teachers responded. About half of those teachers were from pre-K through 5th grade. The remaining teachers were middle school and high school teachers. We used a 4-point Likert scale for most of the questions, asking levels of agreement with some statements around biliteracy. This is what we learned. 90% of Adams 14 teachers support biliteracy instruction. 85% believe biliteracy instruction should be extended into the 4th and 5th grade. 89% did not think the district provided clear criteria to determine the continuation of biliteracy for the 2018-2019 school year. 92% did not think the district was transparent with the community about the future of the biliteracy program in grades K through 5. The majority of teachers, 80%, found the biliteracy program beneficial to students. 75% of the respondents reported their principal did not share a plan for determining the continuation of biliteracy instruction in 2018-2019. We also asked the teachers 2 short response questions. The first asked, what has been helpful in implementing the current biliteracy program? 103 teachers responded, with 22 identifying Literacy Squared team from the Bueno Center as the most helpful, followed by the biliteracy teachers themselves. Then school administrators, along with the ELD director and ELD coordinators, and family involvement was also identified as being helpful. The short response question also asked, what has been challenging in implementing the program? 113 teachers responded, with the majority identifying a lack of district support and direction as impeding the implementation of the program. With this information, we urge the board to consider the future expansion of biliteracy instruction in the district and not to allow the superintendent to make these decisions on his own. Teachers know what helps and hinders their works. Involve them in these decisions. Teachers know what is effective in educating the community, and when 90% say they support biliteracy, their voices and their expertise should not be ignored. Thank you.
Thank you. Jorge Garcia.
Good afternoon, Jorge Garcia, Executive Director, Colorado Association for Bilingual Education. In a letter to the public dated April 6, signed by the superintendent, the author attempts to paint a rosy picture of the district. Core issues, however, remain unanswered by this board or by this administration. Number 1, the superintendent has unilaterally changed the course of study for emerging bilingual students in the elementary biliteracy curriculum. In board policy B.A. The board reserves to itself the authority to take final action in approving recommended course of study. Calling the elimination of 4th and 5th grade biliteracy a pause, not a repeal, does not change the truth. Current 3rd graders are having their course of study changed from additive biliteracy to a subtractive English-only course. Switching the curriculum for 1 year, even with the possibility of reinstating it in 5th grade as implied, is tantamount to educational malpractice. Board policy does not allow the superintendent to change the curriculum even for 1 year, regardless of what you call it. That pause requires by board policy transparent board action and a transparent board vote, not opaque unilateral decisions dictated by the superintendent. Putting lipstick on a pig doesn't change the truth. It is still a pig. Number 2, turnaround. In the same letter, the author, whoever it was, cites CDE's report to the state board, quote, "Our team has established new reporting and accountability systems across our schools, which are vital to know when students need additional support," end quote. CDE's report should have been entitled, "Rearranging the Chairs on the Titanic." Why? because as the letter fails to transparently report in its overall assessment of progress, this is what CDE said to the state board, quote, overall, Adams 14 schools are not on track to meet state expectations in math or English language arts, end quote. More lipstick on the pig. Number 3, hostile environment. The author states, quote, we take complaints and comments extremely seriously, including those addressing any potentially hostile work environments, end quote. I personally have filed a complaint against a district principal for her hostile treatment of members of the public for something that I witnessed. I feel like I have been bullied and intimidated, ignored, and insulted by another district employee and by the person that the district hired to conduct an unbiased investigation, simply because I requested to be interviewed together with my co-complainant. So I get it. They don't like me. I get it. You don't like me. That's fine. But intimidating a complainant and basically saying to me, it's our way or the highway, we won't talk to you, is not a commitment to seriously address legitimate complaints against hostile district employees. I continue to assert, members of the board, that this administration is out of compliance with the Office for Civil Rights, violating civil rights, and this board bears ultimate responsibility for that injustice. I ask you, is your loyalty to one man worth such a disgraceful legacy? Thank you.
Thank you. Autumn Thomas. Autumn Thomas.
All right. Good evening, President Archuleta, Superintendent Abrego, and esteemed members of the board. My name is Autumn Thomas, and I am a concerned community member, activist, a doctoral candidate, and an education expert. I have observed over the years that there has been a trend with underperforming districts and sections of districts where well-meaning community representatives look for an answer to long-term struggles. This is where people who are politically motivated will come in with big promises and drastic changes. Local boards, such as yourselves, want what is best for students and want students to succeed in the future. In my career, I have seen that communities with low voting power are used as experimentation grounds for profit-motivated groups with ways of filtering money out of districts for experts. The reason I mention this tradition of exploitation is due to the fact that there are a lot of concerning actions and red flags appearing in Adams 14. The struggle of community members to keep bilingual education as a priority in Adams 14 has reached a level of infamy as people are discussing and watching how this board moves forward. Bilingual education, and specifically the seal of biliteracy, has been a major source of pride in Adams 14. This movement has set the district apart from others in the state and excited the community to support local schools. I ask all of you, if you really feel like the hidden shift of Adams 14 to end quality biliteracy at the 3rd grade in place of something that has touted as faster is best for students and their families. Can you all look at the people that are already working hard to make Adams 14 a model of bilingual excellence? Among your ranks, you already have experts like local turnaround experts, people who have studied and researched research-based practices, a state-of-the-art partnership with Literacy Squared, and a caring community leaders who represent the population you serve. Oftentimes, districts fall prey to those benefiting from quid pro quo and nepotism when someone from an outside community comes in promising big changes. Is it too much to ask for you to look into this? When I hear that there is a rebirth of the hostile work environment, it concerns me as an activist. Dr. Abrego stating in a letter to the community that hostility doesn't exist is just a statement. The upset and exiting educators prove the opposite. When I see board members such as yourself who have taken risks to move into an elected position in order to strengthen a community, I admire your fortitude. I see you have all taken great risks to be here, and it's not easy to hear public dissident, but it's okay to change your mind on a subject for the sake of students. Please consider keeping high-quality biliteracy program for K-12 students. Please understand the hostile environment that is reemerging and allowing discriminatory practices to marginalize bilingual students and teachers. You have all the resources you need in this district to make it an amazing example of biliterate success. But the shift will come here with you. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for outside experts. Thank you.
Susana Torres.
Buenas tardes, soy Susana Torres y vivo aquí en Commerce City y tengo mis 3 hijos aquí en Kemp Elementary. Ay, me gustaría saber si mi hijo me puede traducir poquito.
Good evening. My name is Susana Torres. I live in Commerce City, and I have 3 children that go to Kemp Elementary.
Soy parte del grupo de PAI de Kemp y he estado como voluntaria desde hace 6 años.
I am part of the group of PAI at my children's school.
Ya he estado 6 años.
And I've been there for 6 years.
Bueno, la intención he estado escuchando todo lo que está pasando en este momento sobre la bilateralidad.
I was hearing everything that was being said about biliteracy.
Y a lo que voy es que están mal enfocados. Estoy viendo que están mal enfocados todo lo que es la bilateralidad.
And where I'm going with this is that what you are badly focused on where you're going with is biliteracy.
Mi hijo Eric no tuvo bilateralidad y él habla, escribe y lee en español.
My son Eric didn't have biliteracy, yet he can read, write, and speak in Spanish.
Mi miedo fue que cuando él entró al preescolar, yo no sé inglés y yo no sabía cómo ayudarle en la escuela.
My fear was that when he was going to go into preschool, because I don't speak English, that he would not be able to go.
Pero su maestra de preescolar me dijo, tú preocúpate por enseñarle español en tu casa, que yo lo haré en inglés aquí en la escuela.
But his preschool teachers said, you focus on teaching him Spanish in the house, and I'll do the same in English here at school.
Tengo 5 años trabajando como voluntaria dentro de los salones de clase y el problema para mí como mamá y como maestra, porque soy maestra en México, solo que aquí no puedo ejercer.
And I have 5 years working as a volunteer in the classrooms. I'm also a mother, and there in the classroom I work as a teacher as well, and I'm a teacher in Mexico. I can't be a teacher here, though.
Es que deben de involucrar a los papás para que la bilateralidad funcione. ¿De qué sirve un programa si no involucran a los papás para que practiquen en casa lo que están aprendiendo en la escuela?
They should involve the parents so that this biliteracy can work. If you don't have the parents involved, then these programs of biliteracy will not work.
He estado en 3 escuelas, fui parte del grupo STOM en Dupont, estoy en Kemp y también estuve con papás en otras escuelas y veía que el progreso no avanza porque no se trabaja en las tareas.
And I've been part of 3 schools also in the program STORM and with the school Kemp. And what I have seen is that these programs don't work because the parents are not involved.
Yo estoy a favor de la bilateralidad si todos se involucraran, como padres, alumnos y maestros.
And I'm in favor of biliteracy if everybody participates, students, teachers, and staff.
Pero si esto, veo que hablan sobre que hay roces que no se hablan, si dejamos eso a un lado y nos dedicamos a ir a las escuelas y decirle a los papás, practiquen en casa la bilateralidad, funcionaría.
And if we focus on those that are just speaking, we need everybody to focus on the biliteracy part.
Y eso es lo que estoy tratando de motivar a mi escuela, que empecemos, que seamos los primeros en ayudarlos, ayudar que hablen bien el español y que se hable bien el inglés.
And that's what I'm trying to do in my school, is to motivate them so that they speak both English well and Spanish well.
Y no hablar mal el inglés, como decir parquéate, carpeta, eso no es inglés y no es español. Y siento que eso también afecta a nuestros hijos.
And not speak bad English, like parqueta. These kind of things also affect our children as well.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. That moves us into the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Governor Board President. And under the superintendent report, we have 3 updates. One is going to be the ELE update that I will read. We also have a school do training presentation and a responsive classroom presentation. So I will just start with mine. I would like to give an update on English language development for our people here. In Adams 14 School District, nearly half of our students are English language learners, and as such, Adams 14 deserves the best English language development program possible to help our students succeed. As one of 3 districts in Colorado who pioneered the seal of biliteracy, we remain committed toward the goal of seeing students who graduate from Adams 14 proudly sporting the seal on their diploma. As a matter of fact, this year we are on track to graduate more than twice as many students as we did last year with the seal on their diploma, moving from 41 to almost 100. Adams 14 is not discontinuing our ELD supports or educational program for any grade. We are simply hitting the pause button as we evaluate the best way to implement and expand biliteracy program at the elementary level. We are fortunate to offer a K-3 biliteracy program at the elementary level as part of a program model for educating English learners. Our plan is to evaluate and devise a program based on data and research that provides a high-quality education for our students. That is why, at this time, we are pausing on expanding biliteracy to 4th and 5th grade, not repealing. We want to get the students to the best place of biliteracy. We are not convinced that the current system is working as it should. Our partners through the University of Colorado Bueno Center and its Literacy Squared program have long featured a stated mission of becoming biliterate better, not faster. We believe that this is indeed a sound approach, but unfortunately we have felt the push to make this happen faster rather than better. And now we are hoping to rectify that through this pause in order to properly review the needs of our students, their families, the teachers, and the program itself. Thus, we will not be continuing our contract with the Bueno Center and its Literacy Squared program until we conduct a thorough review of our ELD programming across the district. Due to the district's turnaround status and the Office for Civil Rights Agreement to resolve, our objective is to thoroughly review our programming so that we can provide the best educational options for our students. We must adhere to the stipulations set forth by the Office for Civil Rights Agreement to resolve, which contains all of the language we need to successfully carry out this mission. However, it is critical that we implement the directives in the most effective way possible. We are concerned that this is not happening to the fullest extent, and we know we can improve. Although there are some discrepancies, we are also facing these challenges at the time when we are experiencing the pressures and realities of turnaround, which gives us all the more reasons to get it right. Toward that end, we will create a review team consisting of an ELD coordinator, university representatives, biliteracy teachers, and experts from other school districts. Currently, Tanya Lopez, assistant principal at Adams City Middle School, is supporting the ELD department temporarily due to a recent resignation and the maternity leave of a staff member. Tanya will support this work and also be part of the review team. The identifying areas of strength and areas of growth for each school. The review team will then complete data from all the schools to create a picture of where the district is and what the next steps need to be for the district. The review team will focus on 5 areas of ELD programming when they conduct the review. These 5 areas consist of ELD student data, 2, compliance, the life cycle of an EL student, 3, instructional models and resources, 4, interventions, and 5, parent partnerships. The last ELD program review was conducted approximately in May of 2013 by the Bueno Center, which provided the district with recommendations. When we considered pulling a review team together, we reached out to a couple of former Bueno Center staff members who were part of this original review to be part of this team. Unfortunately, due to personal health issues and time commitments, they weren't unable to commit. As we review our schools, we plan on using the 2013 Bueno Center review as a resource to determine whether the recommendations are still relevant in 2018. With 2 more months of school year left, there's an urgency to conduct these school reviews so we can begin to further explore the state of our ELD programming in Adams 14. The review will also allow the district to begin creating an updated strategic plan for ELD. To ensure we are creating a strong plan that meets the expectations of our OCR agreement to resolve, as well as our turnaround plan, we will seek expert advice to develop a revised long-term ELD plan. We will do this by establishing an expert ELD committee which will provide advice, guidance, and support to help the district provide the best ELD program possible for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also on the superintendent's report, we have school due training presentation. I'm not sure if she's here. Oh, she is. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. I didn't see you in the back. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. You know, you just grab a seat wherever you can. Good evening. We wanted to, first of all, I want to thank the board and Superintendent Abrego for affording us the opportunity for further training on school dude. And with me, I brought the team that also had that same opportunity. So I have Rhonda Farrell with me, who is our payroll specialist, or I'm sorry, our accounts payable specialist. I also have Erin Ariano, who is our warehouse lead, and I have Jeannie Mojado, who is our assistant, our administrative assistant in the service center. And I am Regina Baca, in case you don't know me, and I am the executive assistant to the chief of operations. And the reason why we all went is because we all had different modules that we were in charge of on School Dude. And most people within our district, most employees have experience or have had to, for some reason or another, process either work orders, facility use, inventory when they order paper or anything through School Dude. And Rhonda, usually she's pretty much solo when tracking all of the utilities. And so in addition to the report that was provided earlier last week, I wanted to just kind of give you some of the highlights of what we learned and what we were able to bring back to the district to benefit the staff and students. For inventory, you know, it's kind of hard because, you know, when you're in a certain system, and I think most of us could speak for it, they're kind of like our phones or our DVD players. You only use like a small percentage of what we actually have capabilities of. And so this was a great opportunity for us to actually expand that learning and enhance what we know about it. For instance, in the inventory, In the inventory piece, Inventory Direct, we will soon be using a scanner system with barcoding. So I know it sounds like something that we probably should have had some time ago, but truly, we are actually moving on to the 21st century of using our tools and resources ahead of us. So that will definitely be more efficient and effective in tracking our inventory for our resources at the warehouse. And in the Energy Manager piece, they actually moved us to a more sophisticated system to track all of our utilities regarding the water, the irrigation, our Excel bills and stuff. If you've ever looked at your Excel bill, you know that there's more than just one charge. And so this particular system will actually help us to break it down to see where actually all of our costs are going and all of our monies are going. In addition to that, with our Maintenance Direct program, which tracks all of our work order systems, so anytime there's something going on in the buildings or whatever, we usually have staff that would process a work order in order to have our maintenance or ground staff or whatever the case is to come out and make repairs and update things. Soon, with the new platform system and the upgrades, we will have the mobile device systems so that our employees out on the field will be able to download an app on either a tablet or their own cell phone to where they can actually monitor what they're doing, track their time, track their costs for each work order, which would make it definitely more efficient and effective in our time. Also, with the Event Essentials, which is the facility usage, and if you, and I'm sure that you're really aware that the facility use piece, there's tons of facility use, especially at the high school. So this will be a really great benefit because some of the new upgraded platforms will allow us to sync our calendars in with whatever's going on at the high school or any of the events that we have at any of our schools. We will be able to sync it in with our calendar so that we know what's going on. With that, we'll also have a partnering with My School Bucks, which definitely minimizes risks because anybody knows that if you have the more exchanging of money, the more risks that we have of any kind of thefts or loss when it comes to monies. But this will actually allow people to pay their bills online, which again, I know it sounds simple, but I'm really excited about it because we haven't had it. And I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, can I just call you with the credit card to pay this invoice? It's never that easy. And so this is a really exciting piece to that particular module. In addition, a lot of our events that are coming into our schools, we will be able to share that on their websites. And so we could just choose to highlight certain events, like say the theater is actually having a production, like I think they have Aladdin coming up. We could actually get pretty much a click of a button to highlight on Adams City High School's webpage, which is pretty cool. And in addition to that, we could also use the My School Bucks so that we can have community and students, families actually pay for their tickets online as well, which is really cool because we don't have to put that risk out there to put the responsibility of transferring funds on anybody. Of course, the credit card system makes it so much easier to do all of our transacting online. So not only did we learn a lot on the modules, on the upgrades, but we also had the ability and the opportunity to network with other school districts who have some of the same and similar challenges that we have. So networking is always it's always beneficial when you can go out and you can talk to people one-on-one about how they handle certain challenges within their district so that we can bring it home and work on solutions for ourselves. With this, some of the upgrades between our maintenance and our facility, there will also be the opportunity and capabilities within that system to track our all of our usage and our turnaround on facility use as well as work orders, which is always helpful for us so that we know where our deficiencies are, and then we can kind of tackle it as we go and kind of work on any kind of deficiencies to make our processes run more efficiently. Bottom line, the benefits of you sending us for more training is definitely using more of our resources that we already have more efficiently and effectively. Through our cost recovery and our savings, we're putting district dollars, tax dollars back into the school district by much of the savings, and as well as just recovering a lot of the costs on all of our invoices and facility use.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Well, you know where to find us if you do.
Thank you. We also have one more on the superintendent's report, and that is on responsive classroom presentation. I believe we have Mike Abdel here and your staff.
I would also like to invite the other elementary principals and teachers, if they're here, that went to the training. Good evening again, President Archuleta, distinguished members of the board, Dr. Abrego. We first want to thank you for the opportunity to attend the responsive classroom training. We feel like we got an awful lot out of it, and what I want to do tonight is kind of share with you what we got out of it, how we can use it with our staff, and how we can use it with our students to ensure that they're receiving the best possible education. As principals in this district, I strongly believe, as the rest of the team does, that we have an obligation to our kids to provide them with the best possible education. It's not just a job, it's a commitment we made to the city, and it's a commitment we made to the kids, and it's a commitment we made to the board. And it's our obligation that we live by each and every day. When you think about instruction, it's really broken up into two parts. There's the instructional pedagogy, there's the curriculum, there's how you present information to kids, there's what information you present to kids. But the other side of that is creating an environment in your school and in each individual classroom that allows kids to feel comfortable learning. Kids only learn when they feel safe and respected by the adults in their building. We work for them, and if we give them that special environment to be successful in, they in turn work for us. So the responsive classroom training that we went to really is based on four basic principles. The social curriculum is just as important as the academic curriculum. How children learn is just as important as what children learn. The greatest cognitive growth occurs through social interaction with kids, between kids and adults and kids. Knowing the children we teach is important as knowing the content we teach. Knowing the parents of the children we teach is as important as knowing the children. And teachers and administrators must model the social and academic skills which we want to teach students. What needs to be accomplished when the school year starts for a successful year? So what we really need to do is roll this out right at the beginning of the year so that teachers are engaged in this process from the first time kids are in front of them. We need to create a climate and tone of warmth and safety. That's how we talk to kids. That's how we treat kids. That's how we develop kids. We have to teach the schedule and the routines of the school day and our expectations of behavior to each and every child. Introduce students to the physical environment and materials of the classroom and school. We need to teach them how to use them and show them clearly what our expectations are and give them opportunities to practice those expectations. And we need to establish expectations about the ways we will learn together as a school family in the year ahead. Kids have to feel part of that school family and feel part of the school because they want to do for us just like we want to do for them if they feel that way. So there are things that will need to be in place right from the beginning of the school year. Luckily, some of these things are already in place in a lot of our schools. The morning meeting is an important resource to make sure that we are socially developing kids from the beginning of the day to give them that positive vibe as the day starts. Clear rules and expectations. I think this is something that we have to become more specific on as schools. I think that we all have rules and we all have expectations, but there needs to be consistency in the building so that students know what's expected of them in every environment. And you can't just tell kids a rule. You have to model for them what that looks like, and you have to give them opportunities what the positive behavior looks like and what the negative behavior looks like. Greetings in the morning meeting. The morning meeting is a 20 to 30 minute daily routine that we're currently using in elementary schools and middle schools. Students greet each other, they share with each other, they have a group activity, and they share news and announcements with one another. effective lessons, and I think I say this wholeheartedly, that the best lesson plan a teacher has is ineffective if the students are not comfortable in their classroom and engaged in their classroom. Kids have to be engaged and feel safe in order to learn. We must address all behaviors so that students see we are reacting, but we're also using that as a teaching moment to develop them so that those behaviors don't occur again. Without addressing our individual student needs on behavior, you are not addressing their academic concerns. Again, I go back to, if I'm a student, if I don't feel safe and comfortable walking into my building, I'm not concerned about academics. I'm concerned about how am I going to make it through this day without feeling the stress of social anxiety. And we have kids that experience that. And the way to address it is through practice and modeling. Last is just a big part of it was talking about what kids say matters. It is critical to learn students' hopes and dreams and work to incorporate those into class rules. We tend to tell kids what we want, but we tend to not involve them in the process. They have to be engaged in that process in order to learn. What do they want to learn? How are they going to learn? What do they want to achieve? What are their hopes and dreams? And how can we create rules that respect those hopes and dreams and build upon what kids want? Modeling the behavior is key into developing a socially effective school. In this model, the teacher names and presents the desired behavior. The teacher demonstrates the desired behavior. The teacher asks students to notice and name the elements of the behavior. What am I doing it and why am I doing it? Focus on those parts that kids may have trouble understanding and let kids practice that part. And reinforce their positive behaviors and continue to reinforce, remind, and redirect students as needed. We need to have both peer models and adult models in buildings, and we have those. We just need to take advantage of that to support kids. The last part here is just talking about consequences, and this is a really important thing to remember. I think that, you know, we always talk about consequences when a child unfortunately makes a bad choice. But if those consequences aren't relevant, and if there's not a learning opportunity for the child, the consequence is irrelevant. The job about consequences is not to punish. A consequence is to reteach desired behaviors so that we can help kids be as successful as possible. And some examples of that are, you know, the old model of you break it, you fix it. What is a natural consequence? Timeouts, you know, loss of a privilege, but the consequence has to be focused on the action so that kids learn from the behavior or the rule that was broken. And again, and you guys all know I'm not good at this because you've listened to me speak very many times, but keep it brief. I am trying to do that right now, but the consequence, you know, there's no need to talk to a kid for 20 minutes about the same thing. This was the expectation. You didn't follow through on this expectation. What did you learn? And how can we do it differently next time? Treat them with the same respect we would treat other adults when interacting with them. And that, you guys, in a nutshell, it was a long training with a lot of information, but I tried to get some of the bullet points for you. It is huge that we implement this in schools beginning next year. Academic time is lost when it's spent on social behavior. Our kids want to do well for us. We just need to make sure that we give them the appropriate training and the tools to be able to do that for us. So we thank you for sending us to the training. And do you guys have any questions for any of us?
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Moving on to routine items. Moving on to routine items, 1.0, personnel, superintendent's recommendation, personnel actions. Can I get a motion for those?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
What are we doing?
Routine items.
Routine items.
Personnel action.
Personnel actions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to number 3, business. 1.0, grant. Superintendent's recommendation, approval to accept funds from the Quality Community Foundation grant. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.0, other. Superintendent's recommendation, approval to purchase HP Chromebooks and cards to support beyond textbooks.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.2, Superintendent's recommendation, approval of out-of-state travel to St. Paul, Minnesota by the Classroom Teachers Association on April the 18th through the 21st, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.3, Superintendent's recommendation, approval to purchase flyer app to support family engagement communication efforts district-wide at all Adams 14 schools.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Did we have any follow-up questions from the presentation that we had last time about this? Were there any outstanding questions that we had?
Yes, but I don't think we received them.
They were in Friday update.
The Friday updates about
Flyer up.
no, should have been about DPS, the DPS and the schools that they already used. We suppose they got an update saying the pros and cons of it.
It was in there.
It was in there. I didn't see it, but.
Is it it's not Mr. Zubin. Zubin is your first name, is that right? Could please.
Zubin Bastani.
What's the last name?
Zubin Bastani.
Bastani. Okay, thank you. Were you going to provide us some information as to feedback from other schools or other districts that had this in place? I'm trying to. My notes are a little too cryptic from the last time we met. But in the back of my mind, I somehow thought that there were a few follow-up questions that you were going to give us answers to. Ms. Burke, do you're giving the affirmative that you remember, that you probably remember better than I do. Could you fill us in?
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. We did send our updates. Mr. Martinez and I sent them through, so it wasn't a request that we asked of Zubin. It was the work that Mr. Martinez and I did with our team, and we sent those to Monica for our board updates on Friday. So hopefully you received those. If not, we're here to answer any of the questions, and I have Mr. Martinez with me so that we can provide any of that information to you tonight.
Yes, that was in your board updates on Friday.
It's actually another, it answered questions related to. I had the opportunity, Zubin connected us to the KIP Colorado Network schools to talk with their chief executive officer as they've adopted Flyer app as a part of their way they communicate with their families. I guess I listed all that there. I don't have it printed in front of me. I will just have to get my computer. But basically, I listed kind of from the time we met with that initial district team. So included the registrar. We talked with our data team, technology, climate and culture. We had Janelle Asmus there with communications, our translator. We had registrar, like I said, registrar. But we had. So yeah, some of the questions I think Dr. Hyde that you had or the board had was related to usability. I think wanting to make sure that folks were using it, that they had a positive experience with using the app. Okay, here we go. So call with Kimberly Sia with KIP Colorado Schools. There, if you want to just scroll down a little bit more. So there you could see lessons learned from KIP schools was the need to create a rollout plan and integrate a parent enrollment of Flyer app as a part of the registration process. A little too high, sorry, right there. You know, we spoke about cons. She really didn't mention any due to the strong technical support that Zubin and their team had. What's great, I think, about Flyer app is this Flyer app team is actually based out of Denver. They have a network of schools that they've worked with for this app, but it's really targeted with family engagement in mind, really trying to connect one single platform to communicate with our families. It does translation. You could do payment through it. Push notifications, so you probably get notifications when you are a Facebook follower. When somebody updates something, you receive it. It's those quick and easy ways to communicate nowadays in order for us to really engage our community. And it's school-based. I could talk to you a little bit more, but I was pretty thorough in my my questions that you've asked.
Yeah,
in that report.
What's the demand of this program on our existing staff? I think it was Brandon specifically. Is it a reasonable workload to be added to his existing duties?
I think Zubin would and his team would actually collaborate with Brandon. We would just use automatically Infinite Campus, and Zubin could probably talk about. But basically, it's a download of Infinite Campus, and then Zubin does all the kind of the background programming to like set up the system. And it's really around, they provide as much technical assistance in order for us to get our sites and our schools up and running.
So are you saying this is mostly the subcontractor that would be providing this help and that it's not going to be that huge incremental demand on Brandon, is that right?
Well, let's ask Brandon here.
So that was one of the specific questions I had when Jesse brought Flyer app to us. I've spoken with Zubin. We've had some conversation back and forth, and from my perspective, the amount of effort we're going to have to put in should be fairly minimal, and so a few hours here or there is basically all I anticipate from it. So,
okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion? Thank you very much. Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to Superintendent's recommendation, allocation of funds to increase a 1.0 table of authorized personnel for a transition teacher for the Transition/School to Work Alliance Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.5, Superintendent's recommendation, approval of in-state overnight travel to Fort Collins, Colorado to attend constructing meeting training for June 4th through the 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.6, Superintendent's recommendation, approval of in-state overnight travel to Vail, Colorado for the FBLA state competition on April the 17th through the 20th.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.7, Superintendent's recommendation, approval to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Commerce City Urban Renewal Authority regarding property tax increment revenue agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Did is this the item that the dollar amount was changed between the time the board last talked about it and this evening?
Yes.
Why was the board not consulted for the subsequent change?
Well, I think that's what we're here for. This is, they bring it to us for approval, yay or nay.
Board President, I don't know if I could shed light, but I don't see Gianni here, but, you know, as a superintendent, I had Gianni, I think you and I were involved in all these meetings, and, Johnny, I'm starting if you want to pick up anywhere, but basically, you know, I cannot do everything, so I gave Gianni the authority to, you know, help us with this project, Gianni, because I'm doing other things. So basically, they had given us a price of about $200,000 for these double wides, and through his efforts, you know, he negotiated for us, and I thought he did a good job on our behalf because he countered by saying that, no, instead of giving us $200,000, and I hope I'm correct, Johnny, I think you started with about $400,000, and they had to negotiate back and forth. So when we were going to get $200,000, he actually brought it up to about $330,000.
Correct.
And again, $330,000 is much more than $200,000. So I would hope that we bring this in front of the board. That again, he's done his part. Now you either going to approve it or not. But am I correct on? Is that what the process?
Correct. We negotiate. You decide whether it's worth your efforts or not. And if you say no, we'll go back to the table. If you agree with that, then we'll continue to move on.
Superintendent, let's go back to the beginning. We are the Board of Education. You are entitled to bring the contract back to the Board of Education. We're not questioning what Mr. Thompson did. We're questioning what you did. You did not bring that contract back to the Board of Education. The Board of Education left a number to negotiate a contract. That contract was the number we left Thursday. If the contract have changed, we should have known what the number was. They changed it. We didn't have no idea, and you did not consult with me, as far as I can say. I can't speak for the other board members. You might have spoke to them. I don't know. But I know for a fact, we as the board gave a number, and this is the same thing that happened to the board prior to this with the city that the board did not have knowledge of. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Superintendent, because we brought this to your attention. Once again, we're not questioning what Mr. Thompson done, because you gave Mr. Thompson, I guess, order to do this and that. But you telling the board that you too busy to do things for the board we asked you to do. So if you too busy for that, I'm just trying to figure out what else that we don't know that other people are doing in this district That's the question that I have to ask.
And President Archuleta, may I respond?
Yeah, but hang on a second, because Mr. Thompson, thank you for your job that you have done, that we asked you to do for us early on. You've been doing it for over a year. We've all had conversations about this, and Mr. Thompson was the person that was doing it. It wasn't Dr. Abrego that said for him to do it. It was us that said for him to do it.
No, we didn't.
I talked with Mr. Rolla. I talked with Ms. Quintana.
Well, I'm sure you're going to talk to them, but you
I
didn't.
talked to you.
Yeah, and I told you that that wasn't what happened.
Well,
Now, we're going to sit up here and argue in front of everybody.
I'm not going to argue.
But we know the truth what happened.
I know the truth what happened.
Okay.
The last time that I was involved in this was when the board reviewed this, and we settled on $400,000 for 2 units. And that was the last that I heard. And now I have a memo from Mr. Farrow to the board members saying that Gianni Thompson, I assume, acting under the superintendent's direction, directed me, Mr. Farrow, to counter at 3:30. Now, Mr. Farrow works for the board exclusively. And it is, I believe, inappropriate for him to direct you or the superintendent to do anything without the board's approval. And so how did we get to this place? The board was bypassed. It was totally bypassed.
Well, I don't believe the board is bypassed because it's here in front of you tonight to vote yes or no on. We don't do the negotiations. We have our attorney, and we had Mr. Thompson do the negotiations for us. Now we either accept it or we don't accept it.
Did our attorney negotiate for us? No. Yes or no? He's right here.
I communicated the numbers back and forth with the counsel for the authority, and my recollection of the meeting that we had on Thursday last week was that I told the board that the $400,000 figure was a placeholder, that was an initial number that we presented to them because the number had never been determined in the previous term sheet. It was to be determined. The authority was asking for a maximum amount. The initial number that the district presented was $400,000, and as I indicated last Thursday, I hadn't heard anything back yet, but I wouldn't have been surprised at all if the authority pushed back, and they did. They had sticker shock on the number, not a surprise. We went, wanted to make sure that there was plenty of cushion to make sure that you could get the modulars that you actually needed, and so there. As I indicated, that number might change. It did change. Once it did change, I gave you an update on it, and it is entirely up to you to approve it or not. The authority understands that that number of $330,000 is not final, that it's subject to board approval, and if the board doesn't approve it, then the agreement's back at square one.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I'm not happy with the process, but.
Okay. Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Mr. Thompson, there's no further discussion.
Except for a vote. Yes or no?
Nay.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
No.
Thank you. Moving on to Superintendent's Addendum. Like other districts, administrative staff, Dr. Abrego was to receive a 2.5 step increase at the end of the 2016-17 school year. The superintendent was also to receive a one-time contribution to his 401k plan. The superintendent's contract requires that any changes to his compensation be made in a written addendum. It was thought that this was taken care of last fall, but the addendum had not been finalized for approval. So I'm asking the board for approval tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
I abstain.
By board policy, members have to vote yea or nay unless they've been excused for good cause. So that could be construed as a request from Dr. Hyde to the chair to excuse him.
Okay, so no, I want him to vote.
Nay.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
No.
Moving on to 4.0 discussion. 4.1, Claire Davis School Safety Act. This is you, Mr. Thomas.
I'm just trying to figure out how the district start implementing the Claire Davis Act since it started June or July 1st, 17. How we start implementing the program into the school district. It's the School Safety Act.
I can answer that question for the board. Yes, it has been implemented. I have here the emergency preparedness by our insurance provider, which follows the Claire Davis Act, noting all the statements, response actions are required by our school district to make sure we are fully operational for implementing the Claire Davis Act. So just to be clear, the recognition of duty of care for the Claire Davis is that all school districts and charter schools and their employees in the state have a duty to exercise reasonable care to protect all students, faculty, staff from harm of acts committed by another person when the harm is reasonably foreseeable, while such students, faculty, and staff are within the school facilities or are participating in a school-sponsored activity. So, with that said, based on the Claire Davis Act, yes, we have been implementing that since 2013 when Claire Davis Act was implemented into law.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to communications. Adams 14 Education Foundation 14, or April the 26th at 6 o'clock p.m. Can I get a consensus for the $5,000 annual board donation?
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is that has been routine annual donation in the past. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So do I have a consensus?
I'm for it.
Ms. Quintana? Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rolla?
Yeah.
And I say yes.
Does that include our admission or attendance at that event?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Confirmation of attendance from the board members. Who's going to be attending?
What day is it?
What's the date, Monica?
26.
Oh, April 26th at 6 o'clock.
I'll attend.
Mr. Thomas will attend.
With the guest?
Yes.
I'll attend.
With the guest?
Possibly.
If you could just confirm for me.
Can I confirm in the morning?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Thank you.
I will attend probably by myself.
Ms. Quintana?
Yes, with a guest.
Mr. Rolla?
No.
Okay.
Be in Arkansas.
Thank you. So I also need Commerce City Historical Society from time to time reception, April the 29th at 3 o'clock. $20 individual tickets. Who plans to attend?
Not me.
What's the date on this?
What's the day of the, do we know what the 29th is?
April the 29th is a
Monday.
Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Sunday
I won't.
at 3 o'clock.
I won't attend.
I will not.
No.
Mr. Rolla, you going?
Let me tell Monica tomorrow.
And I'll confirm in the morning also, Monica, please.
I should say tomorrow afternoon because I'll be somewhere important in the morning.
So there is a need to have an executive session under CRS 24-6-402, parens 4, parens B, legal advice, board to conference with an attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific matters. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we have any more information on what the meeting is about?
Well, I want to ask some legal questions.
And Board President Archuleta, I do have to read an expulsion into the records.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At this time, I'd just like to read expulsion notification of student number 1081279.
Thank you.
You have two more.
I'm sorry. Two more. I also want to inform the board of student number 1111377 and also student number 1130159. That's all of them.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, now can I get a motion to move into executive session?
There's a motion on the table.
Has it been seconded?
Yes.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
So we'll move into executive session. There won't be any business done afterwards. I'll adjourn from here now. I just need to get some questions answered. Thank you all for coming and participating.